So guys, welcome back to our weekly Championship score predictions. Now from the end of the season, Championship football is going to be relentless. It's Saturday midweek until the end of the season. And coming up this week, we've got some massive matches which could prove to be pivotal come the end of the season. So as always, get your score predictions in the comments down below for a chance to be involved in the next video. All this weekend's fixtures will be in the comments down below so that you guys can go ahead and do that. Last week we had a decent week for predictions. Let's see if we can go one better for this time. If you're going to enjoy, make sure to leave a like. But without any further ado, let's hop into these score predictions. And start things out with tonight's game, which sees Brentford going up against West Brom. Now this weekend is absolutely massive for the top two. We got Leeds against Fulham coming up later. If both Brentford and Fulham win this weekend, the automatic promotion race is suddenly blown wide open. There's 8 points that separates Brentford and West Brom at the moment. If Brentford can narrow that gap, West Brom may start to feel a little bit nervous. And West Brom do need to sort of rekindle their goal-scoring touch. In their last 3 Championship matches, they failed to score. Obviously, the restart saw them drawing 0-0 against Birmingham. Birmingham did quite well in that one, really, to limit West Brom to a few, if any, chances. You get the feeling that this game's going to be a little bit more open. You know, Brentford are going to be going on the attack a little bit more, and that may leave a bit more spaces for West Brom to exploit. In terms of Brentford, though, they'll be flying high on confidence after coming off the back of that 2-0 away victory over Fulham. We saw Marcondes coming off the bench having a massive impact on that game. As well as that, they've also got Brian Mbeumo coming back into this game after last week was unavailable due to his positive test. Now he's back in contention. If we get that forward three of Brentford starting, I mean, it's going to be absolute fireworks, isn't it? The reverse fixture earlier on the season ended as a 1-1 draw at the Hawthorns. I thought maybe Brentford got a little bit unlucky in that one, but it was quite an even game, very lively affair. For a score prediction for this one, I think it's going to be a good game, and I'm just edging towards Brentford, you know, at Griffin Park. I'm going to go 2-1 Brentford in this game. Could be an absolute cracker. If they do win, it's all to play for. FIFA saying 0-0. Next up, we then got Charlton going up against QPR. Now, Charlton gave their push for survival a massive boost last week, beating Hull away from home. I thought that it was a really decent away performance. You know, they worked well. Their midfield, Pratley and Cullen, worked well together. Going forward, Bon and Hemed especially, I thought was the focal point of a lot of good things they were doing moving forward. And McGeady was proving some real moments of quality in there as well. Going up against this QPR side, I feel like QPR owed their fans a bit of a performance in this one after how things happened last week. Obviously, they lost at Loftus Road to Barnsley. It wasn't a great performance. I mean, they got into a couple of decent positions. You know, Hugel had a couple of chances. Eze tried to make things happen, but ultimately they fell well short of what we know QPR are capable of. And I feel like the break came at a bit of a bad time for QPR because beforehand they were on an absolute roll. But QPR are in danger if they lose this one of letting their season just fizzle out a little bit, of ending mid-table and not having anything to play for. They can't allow that to happen, because I know as a Preston fan over the last few years how frustrating that can be to watch when you know your team's capable of more. For this one, Charlton are going to have that dogged spirit about them, but I feel like QPR, they've still got something going forward for them. I'm going to go for a 1-1 draw in this game, with Thief saying it'll be 1-0 QPR. And in a massive game in the race for the top 6, we got North End going up against Cardiff. This one, an early kickoff, which is on Sky this weekend. The reverse fixture, not the best game in the world. It ended as a 0-0 draw. I thought that Preston slightly edged that game, but just couldn't quite take our chances. Coming into this one though, I mean, both sides on 57 points, separated by goal difference of just 1 goal at the moment. So whatever the outcome of this match is going to have huge implications on both sides for the rest of the season. Cardiff are going to be riding high on confidence after beating Leeds by 2 goals still. Really good performance in that one. They hit them well on the counter-attack. Glatzel and Hoylett with the goals. Preston, not the greatest way to restart the season. A 1-1 draw at Luton. We started out fairly positively. Scott Sinclair scored the opener, but when we let it slip, we didn't hold on to the lead and ultimately dropped 2 points in that one. I don't think there's going to be all too many goals scored in this one, and I know that that's a bit of a curse that whenever I do say that, it ends up being a mad game or something like that, but I feel like both teams will be a little bit cagey in this one, trying to figure each other out. Preston do like to be a little bit more attacking at home, so I think that Cardiff will play a similar game to what they did last week against Leeds, where they'll look to soak up pressure and hit us on the counter-attack. Of recent years, our record against Cardiff has been decent, and I'm hoping that that somehow plays into this one. But like I said, I don't think there's going to be all too many goals. I'm hoping we can rekindle our home form from the start of the season. I'm just going to edge North End for a 1-0 in this one. I could see it being 1-0 either way, to be honest. I think the first goal is going to be crucial, but I'll just back us for a 1-0. Thief is saying 1-1. Very close game, this one. And then we got Swansea going up against Luton. Swansea, I was really impressed by last time out. Beating Middlesbrough by 3 goals still. It could have been even more, saw Brewster getting the brace in that one. I think that Swansea, being at home at the Liberty, will look to make the pitch really big for this one. We all know how Luton like to play, especially under Nathan Jones now. With that diamond in midfield, they do look to play quite narrow, pack the midfield. I think that Swansea's wide players could be absolutely crucial to this one. We saw Ayew and Kalulu both involved in goals last time out. Luton are quite an interesting case. Last weekend we saw all three of the bottom three picking up points, so the relegation picture did get a lot more interesting. Luton only 5 points away from survival now. It's not completely out of their hands. This one's going to be a tough game though. I was fairly impressed with how they reacted to going behind against Preston. Nathan Jones making the right subs at the right time. But I think what we saw in that weekend back was the difference in how clinical Swansea were against Middlesbrough compared to Preston against Luton. We could see a repeat of that in today's game, and to be honest, I'm just going to go for Swansea. I'm going to go 2-0 Swansea in this game. 1 point behind the top six at the moment, and I mean, they've got to be riding high on confidence after last weekend. They were absolutely brilliant going forward. One-touch football, really good stuff to watch. I'm going to go 2-0 Swansea. Thief's going to go 1-1. Next up, we then got Barnsley going up against Millwall. Two sides fighting for very different things at the moment. Millwall 3 points off the top six. Barnsley 4 points off survival. I think that what we saw last weekend more than anything was the bottom three for the rest of the season aren't going to be everyone's free ticket to 3 points, you know. I mean, I was back in QPR last weekend, but Barnsley pleasantly surprised me. It was a really well worked goal, and to keep the clean sheet away from home as well is going to be a massive booster for them going forward. It's games like this at Oakwell as well where Barnsley are really going to be targeting, you know, where the point's going to come from if we are going to stay up. Millwall, it wasn't an awful performance against Derby. They lost it by 3-2. They took the lead in that one, but Louis Sibley obviously just took things over after that. With how inconsistent everyone else is above them though, they're by no means out of the playoff push. I think this Millwall side will cause Barnsley more problems going forward than QPR did. You know, they're going to look to be quite direct in your face, and sometimes, you know, teams can fold at that. Barnsley seem to be a lot more stubborn though, especially defensively, than they were at the start of the season. For this game, I'm going to go for a 1-1 draw. Not much in it. Thief is going to say it'll be goalless. Next up, we then got Derby going up against Reading. Now, as a North End fan at the moment, I am a little bit worried about Derby and coming for our playoff spot. It seems to be a bit like the perfect storm for Derby at the moment. In 2020, no one's picked up more points than they have. They've got a catalogue of youngsters coming through who all seem to play with this sort of like fearlessness. Like we all knew about Sibley from last week and what an amazing performance that was to get the hat-trick against Millwall. In Derby's last 3 championship matches, they've scored 9 goals, so they're free scoring at the moment. As well as their youngsters, a lot of their key players are also coming into form at this point in time. And while their fixtures do look tough for the rest of the season, they've got a real opportunity to take points off the teams above them, which will only go on and push Derby up. So for this one against Reading, I thought it was quite a sucker punch that they conceded in the last minute against Stoke, that one finishing as a 1-1 draw. As well as that, it's now been confirmed that Lucas Jow is going to be out for the next 3 weeks. That guy cannot catch a break. After getting back on the score sheet for Reading after being laid off with an injury beforehand, he's now picked up another injury. So for this one, it's going to be tough for Derby because Reading do keep things fairly tight at the back. Raphael, I've spoke highly about throughout the season, think he's one of the best goalkeepers in the league, but with the way they're going at the moment, I can't see any way past it. I'm going to go 2-1 Derby in this game. Thief saying 1-0 Derby. Next up, we then got Birmingham going up against Hull. Now, Birmingham I was quite impressed with last time out. A goalless draw at the Hawthorns. They defended well for that one and had some glimpses going forward. It's going to be a bit of a different game plan this one against Hull, as they're going to be expected to take the game to Hull, who, let's be real, are on an awful run of form at the moment. They are now in the bottom 3 after losing last week against Charlton. They need to pick up points sooner rather than later. It would be pretty typical of Birmingham, let's not lie about this, to throw this game away after all the work they put in last week against West Brom. But Birmingham I find quite an interesting case for the rest of the season. Obviously, we all know that Pep's going to be leaving, but there's still a bit of work to be done with these players for the rest of the season. They're persisting with that 4-4-2 at the moment. They don't have as many wingers now as they did before the season got broken up, either due to players' contracts expiring or people returning from their loan spells. They played Dan Cowley out there last time, and although I don't think he's a natural winger, he does a decent job of sort of drifting inside and making things happen, linking things up between midfield and attacking. I think he could be quite an important cog for them for the rest of the season. Hogan and Djukovic are going to want to rekindle their partnership and get on the score sheet for this one. For a prediction, I think I am back in Birmingham. I'm going to go 2-0 Birmingham in this one, with Thief saying it'll be 1-0 Hull, which, let's be real, could very well happen, but I think Birmingham may just have a bit too much. And then we got arguably the biggest game going on this weekend, which sees Leeds going up against Fulham. 7 points separating these two at the moment. Should Fulham walk away with all 3 points, things are going to get very interesting for the running. Now, in the reverse fixture, this game was absolutely bonkers. Fulham won it by 2-1 at Craven Cottage. We saw possibly the softest penalty ever awarded in the Championship given. It was the minutest little push, I think, on Bobby Reid from Ben White that was awarded as a penalty. But even so, Fulham are going to look to get back to winning ways as a Leeds, both of them losing 2-0 last week. Fulham against Brentford, they had some decent chances. A couple fell in the path of Mitrovic, where you're thinking 9 times out of 10 he probably takes them. It just wasn't his day against Brentford, and obviously in the end they went on to win it late on. Leeds, individual mistakes cost them against Cardiff. You know, the first one, Calvin Phillips gave the ball away cheaply. They had the chances to get back into it. It probably didn't help that one where Bamford blocked the Jack Harrison chance on the line. But this was going to be a fascinating tactical battle. Both sides very possession heavy, so it's going to be a real battle in midfield of this one to control the game. For Leeds, I think that Pablo Hernandez is being assessed today if he will be back in contention for this one or not, whether he's fit or not. Should he be back, that's obviously going to be a big boost to them. But to be honest, I don't think there's going to be all too much in this one. I'm going to go for a 1-1 draw. That would suit Leeds a lot more than it'd suit Fulham. And FIFA's going to agree with me going for the 1-1. I think it'll be very nip and tug between these two, but a fascinating game nonetheless. Then next up, we've got Stoke going up against Middlesbrough. Now, two sides obviously concerned by relegation at the moment. Stoke picked up what could be a big point against Reading last time out. 1-1 draw, Nick Powell equalising late on. Middlesbrough were pretty much all over the place. They were second best all over the pitch, lost 3-0 against Swansea, but obviously the big news coming out of Middlesbrough at the start of the week, they parted company with manager Jonathan Woodgate and have brought in Neil Warnock. I mean, if there's one man that knows the Championship, it is Neil Warnock. They're currently just outside the relegation zone on goal difference at the moment, and both Stoke and Middlesbrough have some pretty tough fixtures coming up for their running, so 3 points for either of them could prove to be massive, especially with all the bottom three picking up points last weekend. That gap is just getting narrower and narrower. Going forward, I do think it is Stoke that have a bit more to them than Middlesbrough. I think they can be a little bit more dynamic in their attacks. I think they got a little bit more pace at the front as well. But the introduction of Neil Warnock, it can't be underestimated. I think he's going to look to shore up their defence. And for a score prediction, I'm going to go for a boring 0-0 draw actually. I think that Warnock's going to look to just grind this one out and Stoke may find it tough in the end. FIFA's saying 2-0 Stoke. I'm interested to see what effect he can have on that squad. Next up, we then got Wigan going up against Blackburn. Now, this one's a really tough one to call. Both sides going for different things at the moment, but Wigan, one of the most informed sides in the Championship at the moment. They've won 4 out of their last 5 matches, have kept 5 consecutive clean sheets now in the league, which is an absolutely unbelievable record, you know, for any side to go on and do that and keep things that tight at the back. Blackburn may find it tough to break them down in this one, and for Blackburn's last win at the DW, we're actually going all the way back to 2007, showing Wigan's record against Blackburn has been fairly strong in these matches. But obviously Blackburn last time out beating Bristol City by 3-1, really effective going forward. They show good character to come back from the goal behind, scored some really nice goals in that one as well, you know, the Adebayo finish, the one from Corey Evans and from Adam Armstrong to put the icing on the cake. Wigan though have rekindled their goal scoring touch since the start of the year as well. Jamal Lowe and Anthony Pilkington scoring an absolutely fantastic goal last time out as they beat Huddersfield. Wigan aren't a team who likes to really hold on to the ball for too long. They play well on the break, which is fairly similar to how Blackburn do sometimes, so I'm interested to see who takes real control of this one. But for a score prediction, I'm fancying Wigan for this one, you know. I'm going to go 2-1 Wigan, with FIFA saying it'll be 2-0 Blackburn. Massive game in Blackburn's promotion push, but Wigan are going to make it tough for them. Next up into Sunday's games, we then got Bristol City going up against Sheffield Wednesday. Bristol City's top 6 hopes took a bit of a knock last time out, losing 3-1 at Ewood Park. I'd expect Lee Johnson to make a couple of tweaks to his team for this one. Same for Sheffield Wednesday as well. To be honest, I was quite impressed by Wednesday. They ended up getting a late equaliser, Connor Wickham getting on the score sheet against Nottingham Forest. They linked up quite well midfield and attacking that one. Barry Bannon pulling the strings to them in midfield. Interestingly about Sheffield Wednesday, 3 pretty big players for them. Fernando Forestieri, Stephen Fletcher and Morgan Fox all will be departing at the end of the month. None of them coming to a new agreement on a contract. So Wednesday fans, be interested to get your guys' view on that one in the comments down below. This one as a game though, it's a tough one to call. Bristol City I'd expect to take the game a little bit more to Sheffield Wednesday. Being back at Ashton Gate, I may just edge them, but Sheffield Wednesday, they've still got something about them for this season. I'm going to go for a 1-1 draw in that game. FIFA's going to say 2-0 Wednesday. And then to finish things off, we got Forest going up against Huddersfield. Now, Forest last time out, a 1-1 draw against Wednesday. Not the worst point in the world. They're continuing to tick over, but don't completely have that playoff spot secured yet. They're just 4 points above Cardiff, and with some of the games going on this weekend, the teams below the top 6, there's quite a few of them that I fancy to pick up points this weekend. So 3 points for Forest in this one would be a big opportunity for them to continue and strive forward. But historically so far this season, this is the typical match where Forest would throw points away. The reverse fixture earlier on this season, we did see Huddersfield winning by 2-1. Huddersfield, they're looking for a reaction from last time where it was a pretty shoddy performance against Wigan. They lost 2-0, didn't have much going for them, had a lot of the ball, but ultimately couldn't do much with it. I also think that over Huddersfield's next 3 or so matches, they do have some pretty tricky games coming up, and with them only being 1 point above the relegation zone, they'll be nervously looking over their shoulder. And as crazy as it does seem, away at Forest, it's not always an awful opportunity to go and try and snatch a point or something like that. Sometimes at the City Ground, Forest don't always have that killer instinct to go off and kill a game, and I do see this one being fairly low scoring. I am going to back Forest. I'm going to go 1-0, although I have fallen into this trap quite a bit where I see a winnable game for Forest and it just doesn't quite happen for them. Thief is going to agree with me, but I don't see all too much being in that one. But guys, they have it. There are my championship score predictions for what I see happening over the weekend. So as always, get your thoughts in the comments down below. All this weekend's games you'll find in the description, and then you guys can go ahead and make your score predictions, and should you get any of them right, your comment will be included the next time. But apart from that, guys, thank you very much for watching. If you went on to enjoy, make sure to leave a like. We got a big weekend of football coming up, so I can't wait to get stuck into it. Make sure to subscribe and stick around for some regular championship content. But apart from that, thanks for watching, and I'll see you all in the next one.